Hey, it's Joseph. Welcome back. I want to talk about why most guys fail miserably at cold approach and why they probably shouldn't even try to do it in the first place and should just stick to like dating apps, okay? And why another select group of men do succeed at cold approach and they get to the place where they're confident and they're consistently going on dates with women, but without that much effort at all. And it has nothing to do with genetics or how much money you have or your status or your personality or where you live, okay? This has everything to do with something called the honeymoon hangover effect. So let me explain. So imagine you're 12 years old and you're walking through your neighborhood and one day you see your neighbor riding a skateboard and he's grinding on a rail that he has in his front yard or something, and he's doing a bunch of tricks. And as soon as you see this, you're like blown away. You're like, I cannot believe this. I need to learn how to do this. So you go home and you start to do a ton of research on skateboarding online, watching all the professionals, researching all the equipment that you need, the trucks, the wheels, the board, and you're just addicted. You're so excited. So now you're in your honeymoon period of trying to learn this new skill, right? So Christmas rolls around and your mom gets you a skateboard. You take it outside and you start trying to do tricks. And quickly you realize that you suck. Okay, you are a complete beginner. Even though you watched all those videos, that's just kind of like theory in your mind, right? So you're absolutely like busting your ass over and over again, scraping up your knees, embarrassing yourself as a neighbor walks the dog and watches you practice in the driveway. And you realize, my neighbor he made it look so easy, but actually this is going to take some effort. It's going to take some practice. And so at this point, you've reached the hangover effect. And this is exactly where most men quit when they're learning any skill, but it's where most men quit when it comes to cold approach. Okay, when most guys figure out the concept of cold approach, that you can walk up to women and meet them and take them on dates, most guys are absolutely blown away, just like the kid with the skateboard. They're so excited. They're like, this is gonna change my life. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it. But then what do? Right? So they go online, instead of talking to women, they go on the computer, right? They start watching video after video after video, hours and hours of content. They read a bunch of, dating books. They might even start buying some courses. And so weeks pass. They're not approaching women. Months pass. They're not really approaching women. Years pass. They're still watching videos, but barely taking action. Okay, so finally they start taking action, but they don't really take action. They like half-ass it. They like go in, but they're not like really going in for it. You know what I mean? They're doing like 2 a week, and when they talk to the girl, it's just like a flaccid approach. It's not even a real approach. So then what happens is he might have a bad approach where there's like an awkward moment or something, or he just like gets rejected. So he gets all in his head and he reaches that point where it's like, wait a second, I'm not getting a short-term dopamine fix like this from this, like everything else I'm doing in my life, like the TikTok, the weed, the video games. And he realizes, oh wow, this actually takes a bit of effort, okay? And so what does he do? Okay, he quits. He starts commenting on Reddit about how cold approach doesn't work and it only works for guys with top tier genetics and who are rich, right? Very classic stuff. And it's kind of sad. Obviously, there's a lot of wasted potential that you see. But honestly, if these guys just knew how to get over the learning curve as fast as possible, then they would be able to have the benefits of high levels of confidence, of like really just honed in amazing social skills and game. And they would be able to reap all of the benefits of that, okay? And so that's what I want to talk about in this video. I want to talk about how you can basically skip through beginner beginner mode, as a newbie, as fast as possible, and just get to the point where you're now going on dates consistently, okay? And it starts to get really easy. Now there's 3 essential things that I want to talk about today, but if you're not able to take action on these things, then there's not really a point in you fantasizing about cold approach anymore, because you're basically wasting your time. So the first step really to getting over the learning curve as fast as possible is to stop watching so many YouTube videos about game and dating, stop reading so many books, stop taking so many courses. Actually, you don't really need to do any of this stuff at all. You're basically just wasting your time. It's going into the ether. Let me explain why. Well, videos are very addictive, especially like self-help videos and educational style videos, because it can seem like you're doing something good for your life, right? It's like you could be doing heroin under a bridge. You could be, watching some porn, but here you are learning, you're getting educated on YouTube. Wow, amazing. But the problem with this is it's releasing all these dopamine hits in your brain as you learn something new. It has this false, sort of feeling that you're making progress, that you're gaining new skills, when in reality, you're not really doing any of that, okay? Now, don't get me wrong, YouTube is good for inspiration, and it is good for learning. Like 100%, I've learned a ton of stuff on YouTube. But the problem is your ratio of action, okay, to learning is so retarded. It's so wrong. Okay, most people, okay, who watch cold approach YouTube videos, they're basically taking like 2% action. Like they're approaching 2 women a week and they're watching like 2 hours of content. So that is completely skewed, and you're not actually going to get over the learning curve that way. So it's not going to be very rewarding for you to continue to do it that way. All right. And also, as a beginner, there's not really a point in you learning all of this more advanced technique or really any of this stuff. Because as a beginner, the main thing that you're trying to do is just take action, is just to start to build the actual habit of doing the approach in the first place. Okay, and getting over the approach anxiety. Like there's no point in learning advanced maneuver 55, right, if you can't do simple maneuver A, which is actually talk to a female in real life, right? So if that is all you did, like if you turned off your phone or your laptop or your TV right now and you just went out and you talked to girls, okay, you're going to get over your approach anxiety. By the way, I help my clients I have a more like in-depth process on this. But if you don't have a coach, you can literally just go out, take action on this, and you'll get over your approach anxiety. All right. And then what's going to happen is you're going to be way more confident than you were before. You're basically going to be way more confident than like 90% of guys already without watching a single YouTube video. Okay. So just keep in mind that all the stuff that you're learning right now, you're not going to remember anyways, because that's not how memory works. Guys, I've taken 7 or 8 dating courses at this point. Now, when I first started learning about a cold approach, I did the same thing that I'm describing in this video. I did maybe 5 or 6 dating courses before I really made this like an everyday habit. And so what happened was I went out there and I realized I had forgotten all of the information. I basically knew nothing and I had spent how many hours that is, 50 hours watching videos just out the drain, right? Because that's not how you learn. In order to learn a skill, in order to really wire it in your neural pathway, it's not just something that you can watch on a video. It's something you might watch on a video, but you need to apply it to actually gain it as a skill. So most of the stuff is just going in one ear, out the other. All right, so that's the first thing. Just focus on more taking action. You don't need to know everything. That's the other thing, is you don't need to know everything in order to get results in dating, right? So think about the majority of people who are normies who have never heard about cold approach or influence or social skills at all, right? So, most people, I mean, not saying that most people are really have an amazing dating life, but let's say most guys who do attract women, they don't actually watch any sort of videos on this topic at all. Okay, so they're able to do it. Now, I'm not going to say that they're able to do it really good. Most of them, they just sort of have to settle and their confidence isn't really that great. But the thing is, they're still able to do it, right? At the end of the day, just like all of our ancestors. So if they can do it just by taking action, that's their advantage over you, right? Those guys just took action or whatever. Maybe they just happen to be in the correct social circle. So can you, without having to learn everything, right? So that's number one. Now, the second step to get over the learning curve fast is to be consistent. Okay, cold approach is not something you dabble in. It's not like a Hobby Lobby paint in the colors kind of deal. Okay, this needs to become a lifestyle that you live. All right, and I'm not saying that you need to approach, a million women per day, 10 women per day. I saw this video on YouTube today. There was this online dating coach. This guy teaches how to make a profile on Hinge, right? Which is kind of pathetic. And he was saying, don't approach 50 or 100 women per day. Just sit back on your phone, which I just thought was hilarious. Like, yeah, you don't need to approach 50 to 100 women per day. All right, 3 women per day is actually pretty good. That's a pretty good number think about how much that adds up to throughout the course of a year. Do the math. That's over 1,000 women in a year from just 3 per day. And how long does that take? Because, out of those 3 approaches, not all of them are going to last a long time, right? Some might have to go, or they might have a boyfriend, right? Well, that's probably going to take you like 20 minutes out of your day. All right, so 20 minutes out of your day to gain an absolutely beautiful skill where you're just on fire. All right, and most guys will say that they don't have time to learn this, which I think is the most hilarious thing, right? Like, you don't have 20 minutes in your day to go talk to some girls, but you have 20 minutes to jack off to hentai porn. Like, come on, bro. You're not a coal miner in the 1860s. Like, we have normal work days. You have time to talk to women. And maybe not during the week. Maybe not. I'll give you that. Even though you probably do during the day. But you have the weekends, right? Okay, and at least you could be consistent with that. Now, consistency is so huge. It's like any other skill, really. If you want to learn basketball, do you just do this like every 2 weeks and expect to get good? No. All right, what happens when you stop doing something for too long? Is you get rusty. What happens when you stop working out in the gym? Your muscles atrophy. What happens when you stop mowing the lawn? Okay, it looks ridiculous like we have back here, right? So that's what happens. That's just the law of the universe, right? Things decay when you don't pay attention to them. All right, so that's what happens with most guys is they get rusty. They never get in the flow. They never get into the momentum. And that is like one of the biggest takeaways that I want you to take away from this video is you want to get into a momentum. All right, it is an absolute flow state. When you can do this for consecutive days and approach women, you start to, your neural pathways just all get connected. You realize that if you say this in this situation, she's gonna react this way. You start to build confidence. You're like, oh, I got rejected. Oh, I was fine. Oh, nothing's gonna happen to me. You start to get wins. That's even better. You're like, wow, I'm coming off oh, I just got a date. Now I'm gonna get another one, right? And it's even within the same day, you can build up massive momentum from consistency. Okay, until you get to the point where it's basically escape velocity. Like your rocket ship has so much energy behind it, so much momentum that you literally just like punch through the atmosphere. Okay, and that's really the point where you start like going out, maybe you have multiple options, right? And like once you get to that point, you sort of have like a lot of real abundance mindset. Like you really don't care how an interaction goes. And it's almost like women, and it's not even like, it's almost like it's like women definitely pick up on that. Like women definitely pick up on the fact that you're in abundance by the vibe that you're giving off, by your what they call sub communication, which is like all your nonverbal language, the things you maybe say, the underlayers, and they see that you're this guy who's in abundance and they're attracted to that. So like it's sort of like that thing like the rich get richer. It's like once you get over this learning curve period, it just gets so much better. Now, one way I would advise to be more consistent is to have accountability. Okay, have a friend who can actually, somebody who can hold you accountable that you're actually going out and you're taking action. Now, what I did in my early days, actually, like I did like a tally chart. So I had a calendar and a tally chart, and I knew exactly how many approaches I was doing. So I knew for a fact I was doing what I needed to do. All right, so that is number 2, be consistent. And the third step to get over the learning curve fast is to focus on your bottlenecks. So your bottlenecks are the biggest things that are preventing you from getting success. They're the things that are holding you back, right? So like imagine you're in the gym and you look in the mirror and you see that you have a giant muscular chest, but then you look at your arms and they're like twigs. Would you then say, oh, you know what? I need to focus on my strengths, right? So I need to just make my chest bigger and bigger and bigger. Obviously not, right? You'd look at your arms and you'd be like, okay, that is actually what's holding back my physique, right? And you would want to balance that out. So similarly with cold approach, all you want to do is focus on the biggest bottleneck. You don't want to get ahead of yourself and say, oh, I need to learn advanced maneuver, blue 42 over here, when literally you don't even have the fundamentals. You don't even need to worry about getting dates. You don't even need to worry about pulling yet. If you're a beginner and the thing that's holding you back is just doing the approach, then dude, do the approach. And that's a massive win. So the only thing you should be focusing on is one specific thing. Okay, if you try to focus on 82 things at the same time, it's just not gonna work. You can't think about that many things at the same time and be present with the girl. And especially, there's gonna be one thing that's holding you back, whether that's your nervousness, whether that's the fact that you can't flirt and all your conversations are friendly, or you can't express yourself, you can't prolong a conversation. You don't know what to say. These things individually are going to be holding you back, and you want to focus on them. Because if you focus on them, then you're going to be able to track them. Rather than if you just try to, wing it, let me just do 1,000 approaches and not actually do this intentionally, right? If I say, hey, I need to get better at my flirting, and I have that in my mind, well, then I'm gonna be able to track that very well and actually notice my improvement. Now, the second reason why you need to actually isolate what these things are that you need to work on is you can target them with specific exercises, right? So if I need to be able to talk for longer, well, there's exercises for that. If I need to be able to flirt better, there's exercises for that, right? So there's exercises, there's solutions for each one of these individual problems. And that's all you need to get better at. If you just do that every day, you're consistent, you solve your bottlenecks, you don't watch too much YouTube videos, okay, you're gonna get over the learning curve fast to a point where you're getting results now. You're going on dates. You're like, wow, this is fun. I'm dating beautiful women now. And then it's just gonna be very motivating for you to continue, okay? Now, if you want me to personally help you through this, I've created a system that I've already had 20 guys go through. I've taken them through it on a personal level, and it's taken some guys who have never approached women once in their life to literally within 2 weeks, getting their first date. Okay, I've had some crazy results. So if you just want to fast track this process, you want to have really good confidence. Like, you just want to feel really composed around women. You want to be able to talk to beautiful women in your everyday life and actually get dates. Then you know where to go. Click the link in the description, and then you can actually book a free call and talk to me personally. So that's all I have for the video today, and I'll see you soon.